Hi, everyone. It's very nice to be with you in this cutting edge um, conversation. And my name is María Alejandra Andrade. I am from Ecuador. I live in Ecuador in the mountains, and I lead the theology and network engagement team in Tearfund. I was invited to share some thoughts around climate change and its impact. So I am going to share my presentation, which I have called To Care and Nurture, the Impact of Climate Change and the Divine Call to Act Now. Of course, I am speaking from where I am based, from my own reality, from my own perspective. I am a sociologist and also theologian. I am passionate about childhood, about spirituality, and as part of that, also about creation. So let me share with you some thoughts. The environment crisis is a growing concern. We are a generation who has been going through some milestones. So there are some things that are happening in our generation that did not happen in other generations. Um, there are some people who say that climate change is actually not a concern because the climate in the earth has always been changing, which is true. So the earth is alive, and of course, the climate has been changed throughout its history. But what researchers have found is that since industrial revolution, the levels of CO2 in the atmosphere have increased by 40%. So let's think about the 20th century, the 19th plus. Since then, the levels of the pollution has increased and the earth has been warming by 40%. So there is something happening there. But also, researchers, the scientists also say that the earth has gone through many mass extinctions and we are entering into the sixth mass extinction. The problem, or what is different this time, is that in the previous ones there was something that happened, a meteorite or something external, but this mass extinction is caused by human activity, which is not minor. And we say human activity, we say consumption, we speak about the trash, the pollution, all those activities that increase the CO2 levels. So the use of fuels, fossil fuels, the meat that we eat, and all that this generate deforestation, massive deforestation because of the use of wood, but also because of the cows and the meat industry. So all this is causing this increase of the CO2 levels, but also this mass extinction. Every day we see that there are so many endangered species, and we haven't had as many species in danger to disappear as we have now. And the problem is that in a very fragile ecosystem, when one species disappear, it affects other species as well. We are unavoidably connected. Um, there are some people that say that we cannot speak anymore about global warming, but we are actually facing a global boiling because the temperatures have reached record-breaking levels. And this, for example, although we don't realize 1 degree or 0.5 degrees of heating, like the warming by 0.5 degrees, we may not feel it. And maybe in Europe, you may feel that actually it's good to have to be a little bit more warm throughout the year. But actually, what that generates is drought in our countries. It generates floodings. Because the sea level are rising, and even those 0.5 degrees creates a um, big the sea level is increasing in big ways, so that there are some cities, some islands that are disappearing definitely, which in turn create more migration because people need to leave their places. So everything is connected. And although it seems that this is a new topic, actually the root causes of climate change are historic. This is not something that is happening now, and it's historic because, as I said, if the findings around the industrial revolution also mean that there is a colonial root to climate change and to environment destruction. All the resources that were taken from continents like the Americas, from Africa, from Asia, all that destruction to be able to give the resources and the richness to for our industrial revolution to take place actually is paying a price. Many of those places that were looted 500 years ago or plus are now places where life cannot happen, places that are destroyed and eroded. For example, Haiti. One of the reasons why Haiti is so vulnerable even to the cyclones and hurricanes is because it's already eroded. It's very difficult for trees to grow there again because that land was so exploited that now is useless. So climate change, environment damage is historic, is systemic, and it's very complex. So easy answers, easy solutions are too simple for something that is so complex. Let me move forward about an unequal impact, and this is something very important that I would like to stress. Climate change is affecting us all in many different ways. However, the countries and the communities that are hit the hardest by the deadly and destructive effects of climate change have done the least to cause it. And this you can see in the in this map. This is the countries. It's a little bit outdated, but at least it wants to show the countries that produce greater proportion of CO2 emissions. You can see where this is located. And you can see that many of the countries that produce less are actually Latin America, are Africa, big part of Asia. So those communities are contributing the least to climate change and environment destructions. However, the impact of it is higher in these countries, which shows that environment degradation is actually very unequal and there is a colonial component of that, but also a racist element of that. Scientists say that if we don't limit the warming, 100 million more people could be living in extreme poverty by 2030. And this is something that is backed up as well by the World Bank. And those who defend the land with their bodies and their blood, many of them are indigenous population. They are also women. Those people who are fighting for the earth, they have been persecuted by the governments, their governments, by the foreign companies, but also by organized crime groups. So those people who are shouting, those people who are defending our planet are those who are targeted by very different populations. And the concerning thing about that is impunity. Latin America and Asia have become very difficult regions, very dangerous regions for Earth defenders. There are two fundamental lies that create all this all this chain, all um, this catastrophe in a way. There are three fundamental lies. One is the idea that nature is a resource created for humans' use. And as Christian people, as followers of Jesus who believe in the scriptures and who love God, this is a tricky thing because many of these narratives are backed up by the Bible. Some verses in the Bible who have been misinterpreted when we understand rule and dominate as a way of using, buying, exploiting, destroying. God never sent us or gave us permission to um, take, own, and destroy what he created. The earth, the planet, the universe is still God's. It has never been given to us. It is God's, is not ours. So we are not meant to be taking it and destroying it. So nature as resource created for human use is a fundamental lie, and it's also backed up by biblical narratives. A second lie, our planet allows unlimited growth. When I was a child, I was told that the water is a resource, unlimited resource. We can use it as much as we can, the earth, the trees. Now we know that this is not true. if we wanted to live, if the world wanted to live as a citizen, like a average citizen in the US, we would need 5 planets because the one that we have is just not enough. So we cannot allow us an unlimited growth in a planet that has limits. And third fundamental lie is that the only possible economic model is one based on consumption. Because the problem with this model based on consumption is that we need to produce a lot. And in order to produce a lot, we need to exploit a lot. So exploitation, big exploitation, so that we can have a big production, so that we can have cheap prices, so that we can have big consumption. And the problem is that this model is linear. At the end of a big consumption, and in order for the system to continue growing, this big consumption only works when we discard. Like a circular economy doesn't work because this wouldn't allow big consumption to take place. There are other economic models that are also there, that have existed for millions of years, and there is a lot that we can learn. But when we only see that the only economic possible model possible is consumption, this is the linear thread where we give the earth, the planet gives us a lot of resources, but in return we give to our planet a lot of dirt, a lot of pollution, a lot of discard. So actually, we need a system change. It's not only about some superficial things that could like makeup change. We really need a system change. And I am aware of time, and I want to stick to my time. So I want to present 4 reasons why we should be caring for creation, or some people cares for creation. One is because we realize that we are affected by the damage. We realize that if we pollute the earth, we will receive polluted products as well. It's like this is the planet that we have, so we need to care for it because it is affecting us. A second big reason to care for creation, and especially for us who work with children, there is in 1999 there was created there was produced the children's ecological rights. So in the United Nations at the global level, there is also the recognition that the have a clean environment is a right for the children, because somehow all the other rights depend on this very basic right. There cannot be other rights with no planet. If the planet doesn't exist, there is no children, there is no life, and all the other rights are not even important because we don't even exist. So there is a second need based on legislation. There is a third need for us as Christians, which is the biblical mandate. It's an issue, a matter of obedience. God asks us to love what he loves, and of course that he loves what he created. Creation is not ours. Creation belongs to God. So when we are damaging creation, we are actually sinning because we are offending God. So it's an act of obedience. But I would like to propose a fourth reason why we should care for creation, which is love. And it lies on the sense of relationality. Why do we care for creation? Because creation is also us. And this is something that we are learning a lot from indigenous perspectives. In the indigenous worldview, the creation, non-human creation, we are neighbors, we are connected, unavoidably connected. They are not, and the tree is not an object. Actually, the tree is alive, is neighbor. And because it's neighbor, I care for something that I understand that I am connected with. So this sense of connectedness and relationality makes indigenous people to love their environment, and of course to love their environment and to defend it even with their own lives. So I think that we need to move from the need, even the legislation, even the obedience, to loving. loving creation. This is why we care for it. And in the Bible, there are many, many passages where we see that interconnectedness and that sense of interdependence with creation, because in the Bible, the creation is alive. The creation belongs to God. The creation has rights. If we see the Jubilee in Leviticus 25, the creation relates with God. And if we go to Genesis 9, when God made a pact, Yahweh made a pact with humanity after the flooding, he also made a covenant, not a pact. He made a covenant with creation as well. Creation is cared for, of course, it is cared for by God, but also by humans, but also creation cares for humans. Let's remember Jonah and the plant that grew to give him shadow. Creation is part of God's plan. It was affected by sin in Genesis 3, but creation is also was also restored or will be restored in Apocalypse, in Revelation, sorry, 21st. It's also redeemed. Creation is mourning. So creation is alive, and in the Bible we can see that sense of interdependence and interconnectedness with creation, moving from the ego, where the human beings are the cherry on the cake of creation, to the eco, where everything sits on the same space, to the theo, is a is um yes, is a perspective where God is at the center, and God is the one who is nurturing and igniting and facilitating all those relationships between all the humans beings, but also all God's creation. So human beings and creation are connected because the Spirit of God is moving among them. So this is the view where God is at the center, and God is the igniter, the reconnector, in the sense of Colossians 1, where Christ is what is connecting and bringing together everything that is in the earth, everything that is in the sky, everything that exists. So the problem has never been the Bible. The Bible has given us those passages. The problem is the lenses with which we have approached it, and lenses that have been mostly dichotomic, where the sacred and the secular are separate, the body and the spirit are separate, the humans and the rest of creation are separate, men and women are separate, the good and evil are separate. That dichotomic view didn't allow us to see how connected and how dependent we are with relationship. And these lenses are not only dichotomic, they have been very colonial, that they have been very patriarchal as well. So this is a challenge that we have. So the problem, the root of the problem, I want to propose that is desacralization, in the sense that we have lost the possibility to see nature as something that is sacred, and it's sacred because it belongs to God. It was created by God and it belongs to God. Therefore, whenever we approach and we enter into nature and we relate to nature, we need to go as like taking our sandals off, as Moses approached to God, because the creation is God's epiphany. It's God's revelation. And what is the alternative? How do we challenge that? We need to change our life world. And I want to use life world instead of worldview, because the worldview only is the way we see the world. Life world is the way we experience and we connect with the world. We need to change our life world, which goes beyond having recycling initiatives or green jobs. All those are good. But if we don't reclaim, and if we don't rescue that possibility to see God's creation as sacred and relate with that creation as something that is sacred and belongs to God, all those initiatives will be good, but will never be enough. I want to finish with a quote from Vinod Ramachandra. He is a theologian from Sri Lanka. And he says that the people of God under the Old Covenant were repeatedly taught that they were guests in the land they inhabited. Only when they saw the land not as an object of consumption for commercial exchange, but as a community to which they belonged, would they be in a position to use it correctly? And I think that this is a challenge that we still experience. Thank you so much. I am very happy to keep the conversation another time, but I hope that you have been provoked by some of these insights. Have a good end of your meeting, the Congress, and see you later. God bless you.